Next, DeepMind beat a human player at Go, commonly believed to be harder than chess and likely the most difficult game in the world. Go is deceptively simple. You take turns to place a stone, trying to block out more territory than your opponent while encircling their stones to get rid of them. AlphaGo was trained on 160,000 top games and played over 30 million games itself before beating world champion Lee Sedol in 2016. Problem with Go, because there are so many possibilities, it's impossible to calculate every possible move. Instead, DeepMind's method was based on sophisticated guessing around uncertainty. It would calculate the chances of winning based on a move, rather than calculating and playing through all of the possible future moves after each move. The premise was that this is more how human intelligence works. We scan, contemplate a few moves ahead, reject maybe, and imagine a different move, and so on. And after 37 moves in that match against Sedol, AlphaGo made a move that took everyone by surprise. None of the humans could understand it. It was described as creative, unique, and beautiful, as well as inhuman by the professionals.
Neural networks are composed of node layers.
Neural networks are revolutionizing the way we think about not just AI, but human intelligence too. They're based on the premise that what matters are connections, patterns, pathways. Artificial neural networks, ANNs, are inspired by biological neural networks in the brain. Both in the brain and in artificial neural networks, there are basic building blocks, neurons or nodes. These are layered, and there are connections between them. Each neuron can activate the next. The more neurons that are activated, the stronger the activation of the next connected neuron. And if that neuron is firing strong enough, it will pass a threshold and fire the next one. And so on, billions of times. In this way, intelligence can make predictions based on past experiences. This is important. I think of neural nets, in the brain and artificially, as something like commonly travelled pathways. The more the neurons fire together, the more successfully they do so, the more their connections strengthen, and the more they're likely to repeat. Hence the phrase, those that fire together, wire together. The cat sat on the... Now, if you thought of mat automatically there, then you have some intuitive idea of how large language models work. Because in 300 billion words and sentences and paragraphs of text, that pattern comes up a lot. ChatGPT can predict that mat is what should come next. But what if I say the cat sat on the elephant? Well, remember that one of the problems that previous approaches ran into was that not all knowledge is binary, on or off, 1 or 0, true or false. Not all knowledge is like, if animal gives milk, then it's a mammal. Neural networks are particularly powerful because they can avoid this problem and can instead work with probabilities, ambiguity, and uncertainty. Neural net nodes, remember, have strengths. All of these neurons fire, and so fire mat. But all of these other neurons still fire a little bit. If I ask for another random example, it can switch up to elephant. If a large language model is looking for patterns after the words heads or tails, the successive nodes are going to be pretty evenly split, 50-50, between heads and tails. If I ask, are taxes good, it's going to see there are different arguments and can draw from all of them, depending on how you ask the question. The same applies to images. How do you teach a computer that an image of an A is an A, or a 9 is a 9? Because every example is slightly different. Sometimes they're in photos, on signposts, written, scribbled at strange angles in different shades with imperfections, upside down even. If you feed the neural net millions of drawings, photos, designs of a 9, it can learn which minute patterns repeat until it can recognize a 9 on its own. The problem is that you need a lot of examples. In fact, this is what you're doing when you fill in those recaptchas. You're helping Google train its AI. If you want to learn more